Recently, the Artist's Abode update dropped on Alpha, which changed the drop rates and drop mechanics of a lot of dies, but among other things, it introduced a lot of new dies into the game. Today, I'm going to be ranking them in a tier list to see just how good or bad these dies are. Before I do so, subscribe and join the Discord to enter into a giveaway that I'm hosting, where every subscriber I get adds 100,000 coins to the giveaway. Nonetheless, here's the tier list. Quick intermission before the video starts. There are a few dies that were inaccessible during the time that I was on Alpha, such as the Dung Die, Copper Die, and the Midnight Die, so I won't be including them in the tier list, but of the three, I personally think that the Midnight Die probably looks the best. Okay, the first die we're going to be looking at is the Fossil Die, which is obtained from the Excavator with a 1 out of 5 million chance. And this die truly encapsulates the concept of saving the best for last, because Jesus Christ, what the f is that? This is possibly the ugliest set I've ever seen in my life. My hope was to find a helmet that paired well with every set, but I don't even think this one has a good helmet accommodation. The best I could think of was a Divan helmet, which still doesn't look the best, and for that reason, the first die is going to be going into the F tier. The next one is the Frostbitten Die, which is dropped from frozen corpses in the glacial mine shafts. This is honestly one of the best dies that they've ever dropped, and I think it works good with a lot of helmets, such as the Diamond helmets, the Celestial Storm skin, the Teal Sentinel Warden skin, the Infernal Aurora helmet, and the Celestial Wither goggles. It's a midpoint between Storm's armor and Aquamarine dyed armor, and personally, I think it's deserving of an S due to its accommodation in relation to helmets that are in the meta. Just to reiterate, these decisions are solely based on my opinion, and if you have conflicting ideas about what I've decided, feel free to comment what you think about the new dies. Next up, we have the Sangria Die, which is a drop from the Rift Stalker Bloodfiend boss in the Rift. This is another set that has a lot of good accommodating helmets, such as the Infernal Crimson helmet, the Racing helmet, the Magma Lord helmet, and the Orange, Maroon, and Red Sentinel Warden skins. Despite this die's ability to match well with a lot of the important helmets, I can only give it an A because there is one better die that doesn't require players to have to indulge in one of Mini Klim's torturous passion projects. The better replacement for the Sangria Die is the Archfiend Die, which is dropped by rolling an Archfiend or high class dice. Once again, it has great synergy with all the same helmets as the Sangria Die, and in my opinion, it looks better and it's a lot easier to get. So for that reason, the Archfiend Die is going to be going into the S tier. Next up, we have the Livid Die. This die is now accessible by completing a Floor 5 or Master Mode 5 run, and getting an S+ score for the Bedrock chest. Overall, the die looks pretty clean, but the only synergy it has is with the unskinned Warden helmet, and given the rarity of the die, I imagine that it's going to be a plentiful die, which is why I'm gonna have to give it a C. Moving on, we have the Pearlescent Die, which has a drop chance that I can't necessarily decode. Editor Lamau popping in here real quick. The drop chances vary based on the type of mob you kill, but I can understand my confusion, considering what the Flame Die suggested. It reminds me a bit of Tentacle Die, and it's a mixture of dark blue and green. I think it only really looks good with a Teal Sentinel Warden skin and the Clover helmet, so I'm going to have to give it a C. Next up, we have the Mocha Die, which is a 1 out of 250,000 drop chance at max rates from brewing potions. It's definitely the oddest way to drop a die so far, and personally, I think it's also one of the oddest colors that we've seen so far. I tried, just as I did with Fossil Die, to find something that had a bit of synergy with this color, but to be honest, I really couldn't find anything that fit well with it, so I'm just gonna have to give this one an F. The next die we have is the Matcha Die, which is a 1 out of 500,000 drop from the Tier 5 Revenant Horror boss. This one is honestly one of the better dies, matching well with a lot of green helmets, such as the Fermento helmet, the green Sentinel Warden skin, and Clover helmet. The only reason I'm giving this skin an A tier is because there isn't an abundance of green helmets as there are blue or red helmets like we have in S tier. Next is the Pelt Die, which is a 1 out of 250,000 drop from elusive tier trapper mobs. As for the appearance, it's a dark gray color, which matches very well with the Celestial Gold Ore skin, and the Black Sentinel Warden skin. Unfortunately, while it is a pretty clean looking die, it doesn't have a lot of synergy with helmets in the meta, and well, considering one of the best synergizing helmets is nearly worth 3 billion coins, I'm gonna have to give it a C tier. The next green die we have is Jade Die, which is a 1 out of 20 million chances from a nucleus run. But for some reason, you can also drop them from chests in multiples of 3s. What? Jade Die 3? I don't know, it's probably just an alpha bug. But anyway, the die looks pretty clean, and it synergizes with the Fermento helmet, Green Sentinel Warden skin, and the Clover helmet. But I will have to give it a B, because I think the Matcha Die looks a lot better with these helmets. Finally, we have the Secret Die, which is a 1 out of 5 million drop from Secrets in Dungeons. It reminds me of the Thick set from Dungeons, and it synergizes well with the Black Sentinel Warden skin, the Warden helmet, the Mineral helmet, and the Spirit mask. Altogether, I think this die is deserving of A tier due to its synergy with meta helmets. I realized this after editing, but there was one more die that was accessible at the time, called Periwinkle Die, which is a 1 out of 100 million chance from enchanting items. It's a very light gray color, and it synergizes pretty well with the Spirit mask, the Mineral helmet, and the Warden helmet. Overall, it's a pretty good die, so I'm going to be putting it into the A tier. And that's it for the tier list. Let me know what you think about the dies, and let me know if there are some better combinations that I didn't take into consideration. Overall, I think this is a pretty good update, and it's going to make armor sets look a lot cooler in general. But yep, that's all I have for today. Bye!